morning, good morning, good morning. This is Tasemere, your host of the Blackout live from New York. I wanted to just set the stage again, of course, around what this segment is about. And I have an amazing guest that I wanted to introduce you guys to. He's also one of my network mates. He has a show on Fridays, but for right now, before we jump into that, let me just let you guys know what the Blackout Live from New York is. Its purpose is to celebrate Black folks across the diaspora and to have an open dialogue about Black economics, how we reimagine trends in business and explore the magic that we have. Today, I have the pleasure of interviewing and bringing to you guys my network mate, Kamal, who is certified in fraud examination, cybersecurity, and decentralized finance. He has spent 2 years conducting individual research on Bitcoin and blockchain technology before entering a position in cryptocurrency. I'm going to bring him up right now. I'm super, super happy to have you. Thank you for joining us today. How are you out in the West Coast?
It's not even light yet out here, but I'm happy to be here, and I'm happy to be live from New York and not be Saturday night. Live from New York on the Blackout.
I'm so happy to have you. So part of your bio I was reading is that you are a lawyer by profession, and you also have a certification in fraud examination, cybersecurity, and decentralized finance. What the heck does that even mean? Can we start with that? What does all of that mean?
Sure. Well, I went to law school. I went to law school at an HBCU, Thurgood Marshall School of Law, and got out. And I'm originally from California, so Thurgood Marshall is in Houston, Texas. Came back to California, and just kind of did stuff like clerking and interning, and actually, one of my clerkships was with a fair housing law project. And this was really at the height of the subprime mortgage crisis. And, all the majority of our clients were Black and brown. And, it just goes to show how, Black and brown people were targeted by, these really bad loans, right? That they were put in. They were sold the American dream of home ownership, and like there were all sorts of things that I saw where, people's income was being falsified, people's income wasn't being verified, and we had a lot of people who didn't speak English, and they were put in front of loan papers without an interpreter. So, those sort of tactics were used to put people into these loans, into these homes. And I mean, it got really tough, to really see that day in and day out. So I ended up getting an opportunity to work with the Rock Center for Corporate Governance at Stanford University, which is a joint collaboration between Stanford's Law School and Stanford's Graduate School of Business.
Mm-hmm.
I was conducting and managing research into federal securities litigation, which covered stock fraud and global corruption. So at that time, the subprime mortgage crisis had actually transitioned into a global credit crisis, right? All the stuff that the banks were doing here around subprime, it just contaminated the global banking system, right? And I started to come across this thing called Bitcoin. And, I was just like, this is interesting, right? In context with the credit crisis, there's this decentralized electronic peer-to-peer cash system. And, it was very new, but also, it was very fringe, very esoteric. But I was like, hey, if this is real and it goes anywhere, it'll actually be something. So,
well, yeah, because it has revolutionized revolutionized. I mean, a lot of people think Bitcoin is something that just Bitcoin and blockchain are like the newest things that everyone is talking about and trying to wrap their heads around. But I always had an inkling that this had been in effect way before it had reached like general consumption, right? Like this was something that other folks had known about or were tinkling with or playing with and working out the kinks on probably decades before this even came to happen here, right? Where we actually know about it. And when I was reading your bio, I saw that you also went and testified in court for the definition or the law around how California defines like Bitcoin and how that all happens. So break this stuff down, because this is like, you're like a pioneer in this like very, I want to say, trendy thing that's happening that a lot of people are talking about. They want to know about it. I think that there's a lot of misinformation out there around it. So can you just break down what that experience was as a Black man testifying on something that has become so revolutionary?
Well, let me just take one quick step back into like my certifications and all that. Like going through all the research that I did
Mm-hmm.
into, one, federal securities litigation, seeing what Bitcoin was, I questioned, what is Bitcoin? Is it a security? Is it a currency? Is it a commodity? What is it? So blockchain technology, I basically conducted 2 years of independent research into blockchain technology before I even started to invest. And that took me down the road of, once again, fraud examination and
Mm-hmm.
cybersecurity. And during COVID is when I got a certification, like right during the lockdowns, is when I got a certification into decentralized finance. And that's when everything really started to come together for me. But obviously, very soon into COVID, uh, the murder of George Floyd took place too. And that's what
Mm-hmm.
really catalyzed me to write my book, DeFi for the Diaspora. And really, at the end of the day, the book is a very quick and dirty. I don't want to say it's not dirty. There's some dirty parts about it, but it's very quick and easy read, putting the history of money together, juxtaposed against the history of Black people in America and then Black people globally, and how we have not had a fair shake when it comes to the legacy financial system, and how we can use blockchain technology, decentralized finance, and this technology essentially to create our own equitable economic and financial system.
You just said a mouthful there. It's like so many things are like clicking in my mind, because now I'm starting to see definitely a rise of cybersecurity contractors, firms, independent agencies that are trying to work in the cybersecurity arena, specifically with entrepreneurs, coupled with this whole cryptocurrency. And it's so many different coins. I'm like, I'm this layperson that's trying to understand, Bitcoin, and then there's all these different coins that are happening. I know that it's used with the blockchain, right? And I actually became aware of cryptocurrency or whatever when I went to a meetup called it was around like attorneys trying to hack different systems. It was like legal hackers or something like that. And so I went there and they were talking about like Bitcoin and blockchain and how they were buying things and trading. And I was like, oh, that sounds super cool. But that was probably like 2, 3 years ago. And now it's like so popular. So to keep the focus of Black economics, how does this new technology Like, how do you see this working for the Black community? How do Black folks, everyday folks, try to participate in this arena? And what are some like just basic tips? Because I think that there, again, are so many people that are kind of like just throwing these terms out of like investment, Bitcoin, blockchain, NFTs, and this, that, or whatever. And it sounds like soup in my brain. Like, I'm like, what the heck is really going on here? I'm not from that background. So how would you break that down for just a regular everyday person to try to understand what this opportunity is?
Well, you said that I said a mouthful, but you just asked like 20 questions. So but okay, here, let me start with the tips, right? Like, I really started getting serious about researching Bitcoin in 2013, right? That's when I started my independent research in it. But if I had just started buying Bitcoin in 2013, I'd probably be retired now. I mean, so that right there is tip number one. You may not know everything about this, but find a way to have some degree of disposable income. I mean, even if it's like, hey, give up coffee for, a month, or not give up coffee, but minimize the amount of coffee that you're buying from, a major coffee maker, and take that $5 a week every week and do a $5 Bitcoin buy. That's something I do, still, not to say that I don't, buy Bitcoin at other times, but that's just a habit that I'm trying to, or that's a habit that I've grown to do. So don't wait. That's the biggest thing, right? I waited 2 years if I would have got in when, Bitcoin was like $20 instead of like $700, right? And see where Bitcoin is now, right? It's almost 70,000, 60, between 60 and $70,000. So, that's one thing. I think Bitcoin is going to change, but it's still going to remain the top cryptocurrency out there. So once again, if you're new, and yes, you're right, you're seeing there's at least 10,000 coins out there, right? And once you get into Bitcoin, that's when you start looking at other stuff, right? Like, oh, hey, there's this doggy coin, right? It's a cute dog on a coin. Who's going to pass that up, right? So, but stick to, doing small accumulations of Bitcoin, and really Ethereum too, because I don't think those two are really going anywhere in the next 5 years. Or, okay, hey, I do think there will be some degree of a market downturn coming very soon. This is like where we are now in the market is, it's starting to not make sense. But still, if you're in it for the long run, if you're contributing $5 every week, that's not going to break the bank, right? So do that. Buy Bitcoin, buy Ethereum. Just start there. And then, because once again, this is a learning curve, trying to learn blockchain technology, what it is. And then you got to learn about a new coin, what that coin does. That takes time, right? So why not stick to the tried and true, top two for right now, until you have the time to really begin to do more research and understand how the protocols work and so on and so forth. You did mention NFTs, which are non-fungible tokens, and NFTs are really revolutionizing art right now. It's taking out the intermediaries into art. So a lot of artists, what they would have to do is, create art that initially no one buys until you're discovered by someone who is whoever they are. And then they bring your art to an auction house. So right there, you have an agent who takes your art to an auction house. So that's one intermediary. Then the auction house, puts it up for auction. That's two intermediaries. Then, whatever else, the other fees that you pay or you pay during the sale of your art, right? So there's so many hands that are in that transaction. With NFTs, you can go to an NFT marketplace. The fees that you'll have to pay are going to be the fees to actually mint that piece of art, which turns that art into the non-fungible token. That's what the minting process is. You're essentially making a coin out of that art. And then you put it up on the art market, and when someone buys it, you get paid.
Oh, see, this is like the information that the way that you're breaking it down is more digestible for me than what I have heard other people when they're just talking, because it's almost like definition gap, right? Like if you haven't been in this world, you people are just throwing out acronyms and all this other stuff, and you're trying to catch up to what is happening, that you kind of get lost in what all of this means, and it makes it very scary to move forward because you're like, I don't even understand this, like I don't know what's going on. So for the Black community, what I'm hearing is that this is a way to kind of, one, cut the middleman with the NFTs, right? But for the Bitcoin and the investment, it's almost making it more accessible for you to participate in this kind of investment ecosystem that's happening. So what two coins do you think people could at least start with? Like, you don't know what any of these coins are. What are two coins that you can kind of start with?
Well, I don't like to make recommendations. That's why where I say is start at the top, start at Bitcoin and start with Ethereum. Because
Okay.
those are the top two coins. I mean, essentially, I don't want to say it's like gold and silver, but those are the two that aren't going anywhere anytime soon. Like I said, I think crypto operates on a cycle, just like any other business cycle. And it seems like we're at the top of the market, or very much approaching the top of the market. There will be a market downturn, and people who they can choose to say, hey, I'm going to wait this out until things kind of stabilize, and then I'm going to get in and I'm going to make a really solid position and go from there. This is not a financial advice, of course. Like,
Of course.
this is just for informational purposes only. This is just my thought process too, going through these business cycles and seeing these crypto cycles and actually paying the price, right? If you go off into all these obscure coins and what's happening now, and I get it, there's a psychology to this as well, right? Like, people are looking for the lottery ticket crypto, right? In fact, the news this week was Shiba Inu, right? If you would have invested $1,000 on the first day of Shiba Inu, right now you'd have $1.6 billion. That's essentially the lottery ticket crypto mentality. Crypto is not going anywhere. This technology is not going anywhere. There was a story a couple weeks ago that Walmart is installing hundreds of Bitcoin ATMs in their stores across America. Walmart, Bitcoin. What does that tell you, right? And then Facebook is instituting their wallet system to coincide with this whole Meta rebrand, metaverse system. So they're going to have, and they've been trying to get their own crypto out there for years. Facebook, Walmart, they are making investments into crypto. So if you think this is a scam or a fad or something like that, I mean, you have to re-examine when Fortune 500 companies are finding ways to adopt it. Behind the scenes, I've worked with hedge funds, family offices, and banks in terms of, structuring deals for them to get large lot over the counter crypto deals. So Wall Street is getting in on this too. And in fact, there's been some degree of market manipulation from Wall Street. So, once again, it's not going anywhere. They're in the game, they're playing it. Now, when it comes back to us in our community, um, it it comes down to this. Once again, there's a low barrier of entry. A lot of this technology is open source, which means that we have the ability to take that code and build our own coins or build our own ecosystems. The world is getting smaller. We're moving away from actual physical money. With COVID, there were these cash and coin shortages. So money's becoming digital. And of course, e-commerce has, essentially exploded over, the last year. So once again, the world is getting smaller. We need to use these currencies on a local, state, national, and international level to once again create an economic system where we treat each other as peers, where we treat each other as equals, not how we've been treated with traditional finance.
So we have two questions here, and then I want to jump into Cage Chain, which is one business that you have started. So let's answer some of the people's questions. Emma's asking, but where do the crypto coins get their value? So can you speak to that a bit?
Yeah, that actually operates under a framework called tokenomics. So just like every monetary system has its own economic factors of supply and demand, right? Uh, we'll just say Bitcoin has a current circulating value or circulating amount of Bitcoins right now is about 18.9 million. And through the process of consensus, which is the validation of transactions, new Bitcoin is being mined. So Bitcoin is it's slightly inflationary right now because the circulating supply, once again, is growing for each Bitcoin transaction. That's why people are creating all these mining farms so that they can mine Bitcoin and get those Bitcoin rewards through the consensus process. However, there's only 21 million Bitcoin. So once that 21 million Bitcoin is mined, there will never be another Bitcoin. That could change, but for now, that's the way it was meant to be. So, what do you think is going to happen when that last Bitcoin is mined?
Well, either the prices are going to go up for the Bitcoin or are they going to go down? I don't know.
You don't know. I mean, hey, it at that point it becomes rare almost, right? Because there's
Mm-hmm.
never going to be more Bitcoin. So when things get rare, their price tends to go up because
Mm-hmm.
this at that point there will be no increasing supply mechanism. There will only be demand.
Mm-hmm.
And most
Mm-hmm.
likely the demand will be increasing. So coins get their price by and large by the supply and demand dynamics involved in the tokens and how much is actually operating in the ecosystem, how much liquidity there is. Like, is it easy to obtain? Right. So there could be a very high demand, but you might not be able to get it. And if you say, okay, hey, there's this one coin, I really, really want it, but I can't find a way to get it, most likely you'll go, okay, well, hey, I'm going to go find that next token to go buy. Right. So those are some factors. And then another huge factor is marketing. How these coins are getting into people's attention, like and how many people are talking about this coin, how many people know about this coin, because there's a lot of really great projects out there that people just don't know about.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
that's part of the play in crypto is like if you find the next gem before everybody knows about it, and then once it does become mainstream, that once again is like the lottery ticket crypto mentality, right? Like if I invest today in the next Bitcoin or the next Ethereum, and 2 years from now you have explosive gains. That's a great thing. But, you know, once again, I've kind of gone through that cycle, and maybe those are the mistakes that people kind of make on their own. And like I
Mm-hmm,
said, a lot of
mm-hmm.
this plays into psychology, but since I've been kind of around for a few years, I have a different approach to this, to where I want that long-term value. I want to kind of focus more on the blue chip, higher tier cryptocurrencies that are higher on the market cap, rather than the gambles, right? Because I've also maybe because I've been through so many and hey, I'm susceptible to scams. And once again, good projects that didn't get good marketing and didn't get the traction that they needed. That's all part of it.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So the next question that we have is also from Emma. Crypto ATM, what exactly would you be withdrawing? So Walmart is putting in these ATMs. Is it what does that process look like? You take out your debit card, you put that in, and then you get Bitcoin back, or what does that look like?
Well, yes, it could be that. I don't know which ATMs in particular that they are going to be using, but a lot of the crypto ATMs, the way that those work are strictly on cash, where you put cash in, you get Bitcoin out, or you sell crypto and you get cash out. Now, these machines, once again, it all depends on really who the vendor is of the ATM and what they're going to allow for. Some vendors may not allow for debit card purchases. Some may not allow for credit card purchases. Some may say, hey, we'll take everything. We'll take coins, cash, credit, whatever, and we'll buy your Bitcoin back too. So
This is
there's
reminding me of how the MTA system works here in New York City. It has evolved so many times. Before, it used to be like these little small tokens that you used to put in and you go through the train. Then they introduced like Metro cards. And so the small little card, you go to a little machine, you put in your debit card, you put on how much money you want to put on this card, and then you go through. Now they have these little like cash out machines on the terminal where you don't need a Metro card anymore. You basically link the MTA to your debit card or something like that through an app, and you just like tap your wallet. You can use like your virtual wallet to go through, or you can usually just like use your banking information and go through. It's reminding me of something like that because that's something that I have most like familiarity around. So the cage chain, what is that? How did you even think about it? What do you do? How do people connect with you? What is all of that about?
Yeah, well, Cage Chain is one of the longest running free crypto newsletters out there. So, it started out as a consultancy. We did blockchain consulting, and no longer with my founding partner. So I just keep it going as a newsletter, and it's once again, it's free, gives you midweek news on crypto, blockchain, DeFi, and NFTs.
Ah, and so how will people subscribe? How do you subscribe?
Just go to cagechain.io and look at the bottom. You should be able to subscribe there. There might be a pop-up too, but like someone came up to me a couple of weeks ago and was like, hey man, thanks for the Cage Chain newsletter. I'm making money off that. I was like, dang, you're see, if you know how to read it, you can actually, make some plays if you know what you're doing, of course, too. But once again, it's for informational purposes only. It's not financial advice. It's not tax advice or, legal advice or anything like that. What I'm trying to do is raise awareness, keep people informed as well, and make things accessible. And,
Cool, cool, cool.
that kind of, we had a chance to talk about, crypto and NFTs, but a lot of people might be wondering what DeFi is. We talked about decentralized finance. DeFi is short for decentralized finance, and it is uh, a decentralized system that allows for banking, borrowing, lending, savings products. So, this whole concept of crypto and people saying, oh, you can be your own bank. DeFi actually takes those concepts into an even more robust framework where you have even more of those banking products where, crypto is like, yes, you are your own bank because you're able to kind of manage your payments. DeFi, once again, is now you can lend your crypto and earn interest on it, or you can save your crypto in essentially a crypto savings account and also earn interest. Or if you need a loan, instead of going to a bank and them looking at you and saying, oh, we don't like the zip code you live in, which might be short for you're black. Get out of here, right? You can use decentralized finance to get a loan with, someone not even knowing who your identity is. And
That is
that's
so interesting. I'm an entrepreneur, right? So
mhm.
can you as an entrepreneur create your own minding coin so that way people can pay you through cryptocurrency? What is that possible? Can you do that?
Well, so there's one aspect of DeFi, which is called stable coins. So, you have all these cryptocurrencies that are subject to market fluctuations, right? Bitcoin goes up and down in a given day, but stable coins are coins that uh, their price correlates to a given asset or commodity. So, a lot of stable coins are pegged to the value of a dollar. What's going to happen with stablecoins? The future of stablecoins are, and this is why I mentioned Facebook and Walmart, is companies are going to start creating their own stablecoins, which is essentially like a gift certificate. And they're going to be pegged to most likely a dollar. So they'll just say, "Hey, buy Walmart coin and come to Walmart and shop," right? And we have a Bitcoin ATM where you can change your Bitcoin into Walmart coin, right? So
Mm-hmm,
that's where this is going. And you're absolutely right. This is how Black businesses should start thinking. One, they should start thinking about getting points of sale for their business, their goods and services, and integrating crypto into their points of sale. Then you're right. I mean, if they want to create their own coin so that people who are their coin holders have incentives, they should also do that as well.
This is sounding like being ahead of your time and maybe like having membership through Bitcoin. People are creating their tribes, and maybe part of creating a tribe is to have a Bitcoin or coin associated with like your loyalty members. I think that that's super cool.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things you could do, right? I mean, even you say that businesses should also begin embracing NFTs as well, right? Because that, and I was just talking to somebody about this yesterday. It's a mechanism for fundraising. So not only can businesses, use blockchain and crypto, they can do their own crowdfunding without going to Indiegogo or going to Kickstarter and paying that fee, even though it's nominal. But you can go to your friends, family, your community and say, hey, help us grow our business and we will make you investors, or we will make you, equitable shareholders. Or, you can just have the coin and the coin will give you rewards, in the future. As our business grows, you can come back and get these goods or services at a major discount in exchange for the coin. There's all sorts of stuff that can be done and conceptualized. But at the end of the day, I mean, yes, you can build communities around these coins, but at the same time too, you know, in a global system, right? Where once again, we have not been treated fairly. I think it's a way for us to rally around each other in really a borderless fashion and say, hey, we're going to engage in business, commerce with each other in a fair, equitable manner so that we can, essentially grow with each other, and it all starts with, one, changing the mindset around money. And like I said, my book is less than 150 pages, and it's meant to be very quick, in a very quick and easy read, right? Because no one has time to read War and Peace on crypto, right? And there's some very technically driven terms, but what I'm here to do is, shorten that learning curve, right? And make it easier and, like you said, digestible. I'm trying to use very approachable terms that aren't intimidating, because that's what I hear is a lot of people are intimidated by this and they don't understand what it is. But hey, look, I don't know how to make a smartphone, but I know I'm on my smartphone every day using it, pushing buttons, using apps. I don't know how it
Mm-hmm.
works, but I plug it in, turn it on, I make calls, and I use my apps. How's that any different when it comes to money? I mean, I think our community has suffered so many traumatic experiences about being divested from our wealth, right? Or being tricked out of our wealth and having our wealth taken, that yes, there's reasons to be skeptical, there's reasons to be reluctant, but right now we're at kind of a turning point in all that. And one, we're moving away from web 2.0 into web 3.0, and we need to embrace this technology so that we are creators and innovators in this new system rather than just consumers, right? Like, I know a few months ago you were talking about the whole TikTok thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
how, these black dancers would go on TikTok, and then some white dancer with more followers would go steal their dance and take credit for it. Now, in this sort of situation, someone on TikTok could create an NFT and put it up there and sell the NFT. And if, someone wants to buy it and do their dance, at least you get credit, one, for being the one who created the NFT, and you get the money,
Yep,
right?
yep, yep.
So, I mean, hey, this is another, because it's our culture too, right? Our culture has been, monetized. So, if we can become creators in this new Web 3.0 system instead of just consumers, then that's another thing that's going to help to kind of close the racial wealth gap. I mean, hey, I'm just saying that, like, because reparations does not seem like it's going to happen anytime soon. So, once again, why not use these technologies that have a very low barrier of entry, where, essentially you can learn it on your own. You can go to school to learn it. You can learn online. Um, I just spoke to someone yesterday who is the founder of the Black Women's Blockchain Council, who has an initiative to get Black women involved in blockchain and how to learn it. And she's got a lot of really great stuff going on. And that right there is an institute, that creates a safe space for Black women in technology, especially in
Yep.
blockchain. So, you know, we're here. We just need to kind of grow, get more acquainted, and get more comfortable with these concepts.
So can you plug your show? Is on Fridays at 7 Eastern Standard Time, right? So
Yeah.
what do you talk about on the show?
Well, I talk about all sorts of things. I really just try to cover everything that's related to blockchain technology, decentralized finance, and crypto and NFTs. It's called Black USA Crypto News. It's really easy to memorize. I like to cover news stories as well,
Mm-hmm.
and really just kind of mix in a little bit of the education and have conversations with people I consider to be leaders in this space as well. And because I also think, I'm able to describe these concepts and discuss these concepts in a certain way, but sometimes you don't get it the first time, or sometimes you don't get it until somebody else says it a different way. So that's what I also want to. I want people to kind of, discuss these concepts in depth, and through those conversations, get people thinking about, money differently, crypto differently, and, every now and then have fun too, since it's Friday.
And so where can people purchase your book?
You can find my book at my website, which is www.kamalrhubbard.com.
And then how can people connect with you if someone is like, oh my gosh, this was so much information. I consider you to be like a cryptocurrency expert. I don't know if you want to call yourself that, but for me, I'm like, I learned so much in this, what is it now, 41 minutes talking with you about NFTs and Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. What if someone needs assistance with how to start a currency, what to do? Do you offer that kind of advice? How would someone connect with you? What can and he's on the West Coast, guys. So if you're on the East Coast, you got like 3 hours ahead, and then you can still come back and bug him a bit. How would people connect with you to get more information and just stay up to date with what you're doing? I know you have the newsletter that I put up here that people can definitely subscribe to. That's free. We have your book that they can purchase, right? But how else can people get in contact with you?
I'm pretty accessible on LinkedIn. I'm trying to build out my Facebook page and channel, so people please be patient with me. I do have contact forms on my website as well, but I think the best way is probably LinkedIn. And just say you saw me on Black USA News. That's a good start. I will see it there for sure. And just like you said, I want to try and make this as accessible to people as possible, where, hey, if you want, regular information on crypto with no obligation and you want to get it for free, check out the Cage Chain newsletter. If you want to take the deeper dive into DeFi, pick up the book. And if you want to reach out to me, feel free to reach out to me as well. So very soon, I've been doing consultations, but very soon I'll probably be stepping that up. And, I still have a 9-to-5 job. So, please be patient with me and reach out more than once. If you don't hear from me, it's not like I'm ignoring you. I do miss a lot of this stuff too. So feel free to just hit me up again. And like I said, I'm trying to get on Facebook and get used to Facebook because of this whole, no, not because of this whole meta thing, but it's just, I need more people to be able to reach me. So, be patient.
And also tune into his show Fridays at 7 Eastern Standard. I think that's 4 West Coast time.
Yeah, 4 p.m. Actually, there's something maybe else I can say right now is I'm joining a new platform for finance and trading called trade.tv. So I'm going to be holding live conversations there as well. And that this platform is still new, but it's going to allow people to be able to trade in the platform. So, I might be giving picks and things like that and doing some degree of analysis very soon on that platform as well. So yeah, stay tuned. I'll get more information. I'm still kind of building out everything on trade.tv, but that'll be another cool way to catch me live, and we'll be talking and doing deeper analysis. Obviously we'll cover news, but we'll cover projects on a more technical and analytical scale. So I talked to Donnie about this too, and he thinks it's great that we may even just do it on Fridays on my show as well. So I don't know. I'm working that whole thing out, but that'll be an even more hands-on sort of approach to this whole thing, and hopefully will be more informative too.
And you brought up Donnie. I definitely wanted to see how were you even connected to this legend that is Donnie Glover. I definitely want to give the scoop and the tea on that before we go. How did that happen?
You know, the way that this happened was the legend Donnie Glover was introduced to me by the legend Doug Blacksher. So, and Doug hosts the Black Business Roundtable at Thursdays, 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. here on Black USA News. So he said, hey, you know what? You got this book. I know another guy who's an author and a publisher, and, he's based in Baltimore. He's a real great guy. You should talk to him. And, yep, the rest is history, I guess is the best way to say it.
Well, I'm so glad that you took the time to wake up super early. I know you're on the West Coast. I know this is early on a Saturday, but thank you so much for joining me on the Blackout Live from New York. You're always welcome to come back if you're in the mood on an early Saturday morning, and we can talk about Bitcoin and blockchain and cryptocurrency and NFTs. I definitely have someone that comes in once a month, and she's starting what's called a venture studio. So really interested in learning how these new venture capital firms, institutions, studios that are designated for Black entrepreneurs can start to use this technology to raise money, to infuse back into the Black community. So definitely wanted to be in touch with you about that. So maybe we can really start diving into entrepreneurship and what this all means.
Yeah, I'd be happy, and definitely like to have you on my show as well down the line.
Of course.
If you're available on a Friday evening, I mean, I know once again it'll be later out there than it is on the West Coast, so sometimes that might be kind of hard.
I will
Regardless,
make myself available for you on the West Coast. No problem. I had so much fun. I learned so much. I hope our viewers learned so much. There were so many gems and jewels that were dropped here. Definitely rewind and rewatch as many times as you need to, because you definitely gave me, I feel like a jump start on what all I was confused before. I was like, I don't even know what this is. What do you do? How do you trade? It's as simple as maybe $5 a week, a day or something. I'm gonna start testing it out myself. Keep me honest. I'm gonna try to do it, figure out some places to go. But I think that this is a new technology and a new way that we as Black people can start to build legacy wealth and generational wealth, like we keep talking about we want to do, and we want to participate and we want to learn. And part of that is being a risk taker.
yes. And okay, just to kind of piggyback off of what you said with the $5 buys, the best place to do that, and the easiest way is Cash App. They're the easiest way to buy a low amount with a very small fee. But I think, yeah, I mean, yes, we want generational wealth, but the thing is bringing equity to the money, right? Because does it really make sense if that one person can be a crypto millionaire or crypto billionaire, and, the rest of us aren't able to essentially share the wealth? And I'm not trying to, sometimes people say, oh, that's communism. Like, wait a minute. No, I'm talking about an equal stake and an equal share in, once again, our culture, our commerce, so that our entire community and really the global Black community can be elevated. So, and I think it's got to start here. It's got to start with us. And, whether it's West Coast, East Coast, we're both where, United States is where a lot of innovation and culture comes from. So, if we make it cool here, then I think it'll be a great thing that will travel very well.
I agree with you guys. You guys have been tuning into the Blackout Live from New York with your host Tasemere here Saturdays at 10:15 Eastern Standard Time. We met with Kamal, who is to me an expert in cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, blockchain, NFTs. Be sure to tune into his show on Friday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 4 p.m. Pacific Time. Also check out his book. I'm going to put it up here so you guys can know where to go to get it. He has a newsletter that is free. Level up on your knowledge so you can know what you're talking about. And he will likely be having a show on trade.tv. So stay tuned for that, and we'll check in with you later. Have a great morning. Bye.
Thank you, Tasemere.
No problem.